Evil, the villain, the bad guy. What is it to be the bad guy? The bad guy have to have a presence, a plan? Can they be crazy? Can they be rotten, psychotic? Can the bad guy be likable? Even a hero at times? Could the bad guy have a point? Could he maybe even be considered right? Can the bad guy be silly? Can you laugh in the face of evil? Can the bad guy be saved? Can he be redeemed, made whole again? Or do the villains work better when they're just simply irredeemable and unlikable? So we will ask these questions today, or ponder upon them anyway, as we look into my favorite villain of all time, Skeletor! What's up, everybody? It's Joneser, your favorite comic book guy. So let's do this! Well, before we dig into Skeletor here, if you like Masters of the Universe related content, you should consider subscribing to the channel. And like our previous videos, we're going to be doing more of a history of the character through my eyes rather than a traditional toy unboxing. So if you haven't checked them out yet, I highly recommend you check out my He-Man video or the She-Ra or Hordak that has been done in the same style. So without further ado, Skeletor. This was the first time I saw Skeletor in the opening sequence of my favorite cartoon. And I mean, I had no doubt this is the villain. I mean, he had a presence to him. He had a skull for a head. Look at the place where he lived. Snake Mountain is like something out of a horror movie. I mean, of course the bad guy would come from there. The guy that did the voice, Alan Oppenheimer, was a very talented dude. Yeah, he did Gargamel on the Smurfs as well as Falcor from the Neverending Story. And yeah, I mean, sure, Skeletor usually lost, but you know, he put up a pretty good fight most of the time. Well, okay, let's be honest, he always lost. But that was kind of his role on the show. He was there to lose. You know, and they did kind of make him look silly sometimes. But that kind of worked in its own way too. I mean, we were kids, and you could use the villain for laughs like that. You know, and it's actually kind of funny. You know, but have no doubt in my mind or in anybody's mind, he was the villain. He was the bad guy. He was the one that was the threat to the peace of Eternia. Well, eventually I got this toy as a kid, and of course I loved it. But right away, you know, you get this mini comic in the toy, and you notice that the story is different, and that Skeletor was very different than the one that we loved in the Filmation show. And they gave him an origin as some creature that came out of another dimension. You never got anything in the Filmation show as to who or what he is. And the whole plot of the thing was He-Man and him fighting over the two halves of the sword. No Prince Adam. So it was a little different, but probably meant for older kids to enjoy and not so much the littles. So Skeletor kind of does it all. He's a dark, serious villain, but he's also a planning and scheming one. He's always got something cooking up his sleeve. You know, but he's also kind of goofy, or he can be silly or made fun of. But because of his look and his powers and his abilities, he was also fairly likable. So I guess he kind of checks all the boxes. Now, we did get Skeletor in the movie, and I'd have to say that Frank Langella is the best part of that movie. I mean, his portrayal really carries the movie, and it is awesome. Now, we also got Skeletor in the New Adventures of He-Man, but man, I really hated that show. Later in 2002, we got a new cartoon, and finally, we got an origin for Skeletor. it was a little more fleshed out, as he was once Keldor, but he was injured in battle with King Randor, and he was eventually remade as Skeletor with a pact from Hordak himself. And that was pretty cool. And look at that floating head. Fantastic. Mark Hamill did Skelly's voice in the Kevin Smith Masters of the Universe Revelation show, which it had mixed reviews among fans. In my opinion, he sounded a little too much like Joker and just not enough like Skeletor. So it kind of bothered me. The guy that did the voice in the CGI show, I think, did a much better job. Although he didn't sound like the original, at least his portrayal was original in itself. Well, all right, that brings us full circle right here to unboxing this new Eternia Skeletor. Well, there's our Skeletor still in the box, and he's looking pretty cool. You can see he's got the sword there, the Havoc staff. On the side here, we've got a little peek at the classic look with that bearded face. And here's the back box art where they have a quick little story of this new concept. And if you're wondering here why Skeletor has a beard, or if that's silly, well, it's actually in the concept art. He was a character, I think, called Demos or something, or Demon. And, you know, the concept art, they're still fleshing out the idea of Skeletor. You know, they're kind of, you know, playing with this beard and helmet. And eventually they kind of came on to the design that we know and love. And there he is. There's Skeletor. And here is the new Eternia Skeletor out of the box, and he is looking snazzy. I'm a little disappointed that my shoulder spalder is a little bent here, but we're not going to dwell on that because he looks awesome. I mean, look at this guy. You know, and at first I thought it was kind of weird, like a Skeletor with a beard, and I didn't like it. And I even caught myself doing the whole, like, how do they have a beard on a skeleton face? Like, really? Like, that's where I'm going to question it? Like, the beard on the skull? Like, never mind, it's a skull head to begin with, right? Anyway, there's new Eternia Skeletor fighting Viking He-Man, and I think that looks awesome. And if you're wondering if you can get him in his classic look, well, of course you can. Here comes the cape coming right off, and then, ooh, we snappy-do this new head that looks very much like the classic Skeletor, and there he is. There's Skeletor right out of your childhood. And I mean, look at this guy. He is awesome. I mean, there he is standing tall with the Havoc staff. And then we've got this Scimitar of Chaos, as they call it, in his hand here. And I have to admit, I really, really like this character. And yeah, in the back here, you can store the sword. And it fits in there quite nicely, which is pretty cool. And if you're wondering how that looks with the cape, it looks pretty good with the cape. And if you're wondering what classic Skeletor looks like with the cape, well, there you go. And yeah, it's Skeletor. You'll never stop me, He-Man. Take that. So there's all our Skeletors all together. And I'd have to say that doing this look back on this villain, I really enjoy this character. And, you know, just having a lot of fun playing with these Masterverse characters. I would say, you know, for my money, these are kind of like a poor man's version of the classics. So we're going to continue doing videos in this style, and stay tuned. We've got plenty more Masters of the Universe love to come. Jones are out.